Hey, Pat,
Yeah.
how do bees get to school?
The buzz.
The school buzz.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Brand Coverage. I'm Brandon Carney alongside Pat Gustafson, and it's yeah. What's up?
Something doesn't look right here.
I don't see why.
Bald! Bald!
Bald!
Bald!
See, we're 5 seconds into the show, and the headphone users are already pissed. It's all right. I have the limiter on, so it should be fine. Yeah, folks, it's true. We've made the tough decision to bench hair in favor of bald.
Alex already told me this bad joke. He said bald coverage. You mean a hat? Boo!
Listen, hair wasn't getting it done, and eventually you gotta make the tough call, even if it's gonna upset some of the fan base, upset some of the veterans in the locker room. You got to see what the kid's got, and in this case, the kid is bald. I have a head shaver coming in the mail soon. That was supposed to see, as you can see, we're not fully, we're rocking a little bit of stubbleino here, so we're not currently fully bald, but yeah, this
yeah, I did shave this morning, but
inevitable.
I don't go quite all the full smooth unless I got like a big occasion coming up. But so I just, yeah, this was my normal, typically weekly shave. Why now YouTube? Why don't it says it wants me to mod it something that said blew my shit smooth off. Why do we not just automatically do that?
I think that could just be auto modded. Or I mean, we could pin that guy because that's fair. Yeah. Listen, the head thing. Let's get you guys a nice little close look here. This was probably a long time coming. It kind of came together pretty quickly.
See, you don't really your hair. You're receding. Your hairline part is worse than mine, but you don't got the bald in the back like
Correct.
I do.
Yeah. The crown is all right. Yeah. This whole thing came together like 2 weeks ago. We were at a wedding in Atlanta for one of our pals who works for the old ATL Fighting Tuas, and one of my other buddies whose hair was also struggling, not as bad as mine. But
yeah, I didn't think of it like that.
I didn't either.
Didn't he also have a buzz kind of before, so you couldn't really tell?
Yeah, it's been a long time since he has, but I mean, once he shaved it. So long story short, he was like, I want to shave my head, and I was like, I mean, I kind of do too. And then our other buddy's wife is a hairdresser, and she was like, I'll shave it at the 4th of July party that we were, all already planning to go to.
Which was on the 3rd of July. Scandalous.
Was on the 3rd of July because that was a Friday, and we said, fuck it, let's rip it. And
that's sort of what happened with me 2 years ago too, where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a try at some point. This and that, and then it was at my friend's 4th of July party, and he's like, "Oh, please, can I just do it now? Can I do it?" I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna do it in 2 months anyway, so I might as well."
Brother in the comments needs to chill about JSN immediately.
And that Bran looks like my uncle that got arrested on Club Penguin.
Wait, hold on. Your uncle should be arrested just for being on Club Penguin, regardless of the obvious nefarious deeds that were probably done
there was
Club Penguin.
There was a girl on Hinge that said she was a Club Penguin blogger back in the day, and I said, "What the fuck were you blogging about?"
Yeah, I just got a new puffle.
Exactly. New puffle just dropped. Like, what do we? I named all my puffles after Yankees players. I remember.
Did you? I don't remember what I named. I might have done something similar. I remember I wanted one of every puffle, and I wanted the Ice Castle, and that was man, Club Penguin. Those were the days. But yeah.
I was really good at the rocket ship game. I was really fucking good at that.
Listen, guys, welcome back to Brand Coverage here. The July 8th edition. Again, this is a mostly fantasy football podcast. Sometimes we'll talk about being bald, and sometimes we'll talk about other sports. But today, the main thing will be the continuation of our division previews, of which I have developed a jingle. So when we get into that segment, you guys will get to hear the jingle for that. So yeah, we're going to continue that with the AFC South today. Also, real quick, the Scott Fish Bowl drafts have kicked back off. I am lucky enough to be in that charity event for the, I think, 4th time, maybe 5th time. My slow draft is the definition of a slow draft. We have gotten through 2 rounds in 2 days. So I have made 2 picks.
Seems slow to me.
I have made 2 picks. At the 8th overall pick, I selected. So again, the settings for this is always very unique and interesting. So don't take this based on normal leagues. But my first pick at 8th overall was Brock Bowers, and my second pick in the second round, whatever pick that is, was Joe Burrow. And the idea behind this league this year, first of all, it's positionless. You can have a max of 2 quarterbacks, but it's positionless. It's all flex and super flex and whatever. And there's a lot of like bonuses for long plays. Essentially, you get like 10 points for if your guy gets a 20+ yard reception. You get another 10 points if your guy gets a 40+ yard rush. Another 10 points if it's a 300 yard passing game.
Okay.
It's meant to be like video game bonuses kind of idea. But also the reason Brock Bowers 8th overall, tight ends get, they qualify for all that, the 20+ yard reception stuff, but also 2 points per reception for tight ends as opposed to
2 is a lot. I've heard a lot of 1.5.
Well, when this league got announced, people were like, "Oh, if you have the number 1 overall pick, congratulations, you're getting Brock Bowers." And I was like sitting here at 8th overall, and Brock Bowers is I'm like, "Ayo!" And so I get him, and then I get Mr.
It seems that him and Trey McBride,
he went
the tight ends that are
going
to suck in the targets are going to be.
And then I get Joe Burrow, who's going to be Mr. You would think 300, 400+ yard game bonus himself, and 40+ yard completion bonus as well. So very excited about the first 2 picks. Excited for 4 days from now when I actually get to make my 3rd pick, because that seems to be how this is trending. But Scott Fish Bowl is underway, and I will keep you guys posted as to what my team for that looks like. But very excited to be in that once again, and we will keep it riding.
Now, if only there was a league out there that was cooler.
That's
than
true.
The Scott Fish Bowl.
It's true. I wish there was, but
wait a minute. There is.
And what league is that, Pat?
What, you gonna hit a button first? Or?
No, I'm not gonna hit a button. I'm getting organized. Ignore this. I don't have a jingle for our league, but I could. Like a
brand coverage vampire league.
Vampire.
The Brandpire League.
Oh wait, that didn't.
Thank you. Oh, that didn't. Go. Hang on. Okay, there we go.
That's just default.
Just get used to that.
Get used
today,
to that
for God's
today,
sake.
baby.
Oh,
AFC
God.
South. We're ready tooting all day.
So, thank you for your submissions. We got, I believe, 100.
You guys are very submissive.
I believe 137, which is funny because we were kind of slow to start. So I'm like, people just don't care. We got more than last year. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And we're gonna take a little peeky poo at those today after the show today, and potentially make all of our decisions today. A lot of really good ones. A lot of great. A lot of great submissions, a lot of creativity, a lot of great bits, some that I forgot about, and some that it's just like, how do you people remember those? Where it's like, I don't even remember saying it, but like, it's what I use in my regular life, but I don't remember saying it. But yeah, so, and just a reminder that those that are not chosen will be invited to play in the Brand Coverage Survivor League. So whether we pick you or not, we will reach out to you, because that's my job.
Aaron boy.
Yeah, I'm the dowdy secretary of the Brand Coverage League. So we will reach out either way, either saying, hey, you're in, or hey, we couldn't pick you because we can only pick 8 out of 137. It's going to be excruciating.
It's going to hurt us deeply.
It genuinely, I made a short list of 30.
Yeah.
We can only pick 8.
Yeah.
So even that is going to be extremely difficult. So understand, guys and gals, that we cannot pick everybody. We could, but that's why we have the Survivor League, where everyone will at least get a chance.
Imagine a league where we pick everybody. How ass that would be.
It's a 137 team league.
137 team league.
Now hang on a second.
But 10 starters.
Now hang on a second.
I'm starting Lan Larison as my RB2.
Jesus.
Also for us to not be able to draft in that league, we wouldn't win a game, because anybody with a single player would outscore our free agent team of guys who literally
don't
aren't
exist.
seeing the field.
And shout out, we talked about it last week, how we couldn't remember exactly who we drafted. Our boy Nate Jablonski, who was in the league last year, put it in the comments of the last YouTube post, everyone we picked, and God, it was ridiculous. We're going to have to think of several new people here. But yeah, so Brandpire League will start to be coming together. I'd expect to hear from us probably by the end of the week.
Yeah.
So,
exciting times here.
Benchwarmer Brian Dable. Like I said, I commented on your post. I'm fat Brian Dable, and you're post-Ozempic Brian Dable.
Someone said, wait, hold on, where's this comment? It's like, I missed like a week and bro's bald. Brother, how long do you think it takes to shave a head? You act like this had to be a progressive.
He didn't even shave his head; it all fell out.
Right. You act like this had to be a progressive thing. Like this would take more than a week to develop. This took about 11 minutes, and I think that's probably too high. It might have taken 4
I'll
minutes.
give him a week. I'll give him 11 minutes.
It might have taken 4 minutes here. So yeah, Brampire League, all good things. Let's get into the news of the day, of which there is not much.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world
You know,
tonight.
we have a lot of instances where, like, I'll be like, oh man, not much happened, but then Brand manages to find like 10 relevant things.
Nothing
Not
happened.
this week.
Nope, not this
Like
week.
genuinely,
Not this week.
nothing happens.
Yeah, I mean, look, what I tend to do to fill in these gaps is to scroll like either Schefter or Ari Merov's.
I
Twitter.
search NFL news on Google, and there's a
And-
sheet usually, and even looking at that, I'm like,
let's
nothing happened.
let's take a look at what Ari Merov, because he's a great aggregator of NFL
One
news.
of the few aggregators that isn't just a piece
The
of
total
living
piece of
shit.
Yeah,
Hello,
because
Dov
he actually reports things himself. Dov Kleeman's not even, his page got sold. Block him, get rid of him, burn him at the stake, whatever.
Seriously.
So this is Ari Merov's latest tweets, just for those of you wondering what the NFL news cycle is looking like right now. Andy Reid says that Adam Sandler, who officiated the wedding of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, gave the newlyweds one simple piece of advice: just keep kissing. So that was 2 days ago. We've got something about Brandon Ayuk, which we will talk about in a second because that guy refuses to stay out of the news. We've got a bride in New York wanted to reserve a presidential suite for the morning of her wedding, but it was reserved for the Arizona Cardinals, who played the Giants that week. So the bride talked to owner Michael Bidwell, who allowed her to have the suite. So that's a
Rare Cardinals dub.
That's a piece, yeah, like the only positive PR they've had in about 8 years. I mean, I guess this is news, but I just don't care. Terrion Arnold cleared waivers and is he expects to join a new team within 30 days. Yeah, press X to doubt on that one. More Brandon Ayuk.
It's one of those things where it's like Thanasis agreed to a deal with the Heat, but the Heat did not agree back.
Right. And then, as we keep going down here, there's literally not another relevant piece of NFL news that has happened since our last show. So,
And
yeah,
there
nothing
hasn't
going
even
on.
been anything crazy basketball wise either. I don't think we, like.
I mean, like Chris Middleton got traded yesterday. Okay, sick.
Signed and
In a
trade back
9-team
to the
deal.
Wizards in a 6-team
97
trade
deal.
where 4 of the teams, the deals had already been announced, and they just cobbled it together in one hilarious deal.
Yeah.
And LeBron hasn't signed yet, but Shams reported that it's the Cavs, the Sixers, and the Heat.
No Warriors. Surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just wants to go to the East where he knows he's got the best. You got to go through the Thunder and the Spurs in the West for however much longer LeBron wants to play. So, we were both pretty confident it was the Warriors, but I mean,
the Warriors are at a point where if they don't get LeBron James, it's like, what are they doing? Like,
just
what?
unk still.
Like, I know he might not want to play for anybody else, but like, trade Steph at that point. No, like, what? You guys were so bad last year. You're not making any positive improvements. Like,
I don't think Steph. I think Steph would like storm the front office if he got traded from that team. I think Steph is loyal to a fault to that team.
I
don't
get
think they would
that.
ever trade him.
It's just I'm sure he probably has like a no trade clause, but if you're the Warriors, what's the benefit of holding on to him at this point? It just
we already laughed at the
Jay.
Jaylen Brown trade last week. Did we?
I think so. I don't know. Jaylen, I don't really care. Jaylen Brown got traded.
I just like to see
genuinely don't remember
Celtics
if we talked
fans
about
suffer.
that,
Honestly, that's my favorite part of it is that they got Paul George.
yeah, no, I guess we didn't because I think we were making fun of the Celtics for thinking they were going to get like Jokic and stuff.
Oh,
so I don't
yeah.
think we actually talked about
No,
that
we
deal.
haven't.
But yeah, lol Celtics. Get fucked.
Oh well, but honestly, Brad Stevens doesn't really have many L's in his career though, so maybe we're the fools. But
Yeah, well, maybe he's due.
Paul George wasn't terrible last year after he came off his fucking PED suspension at 100 years old.
36-year-old.
Oh, see, no, we didn't. We did laugh at the Celtics fan trade proposals. Yeah, so he did get traded for podcast P, playoff P, way off P, poopy P,
Poo pee
PP,
caca,
and
dick penis,
and some picks.
and some
The Sixers are in a great spot, especially if they get LeBron. A lineup of Maxey. You're looking at a possible lineup of Maxey, Edgecombe,
I'm edging until I come.
Jalen, LeBron, and Embiid.
Trading for LeBron's gonna make me edge till I come.
Yeah.
There's just a maxi amount of comb.
Pat, any Mitch McConnell updates?
That's enough.
That man is dead. You cannot convince me otherwise that man is not dead.
Okay. Yeah, Jaylen Brown got traded. Shout out Team USA. That's the other piece of news here. USA Soccer turned our country into LARPing soccer fans.
Monday Night Football,
for
baby.
about 5 minutes, and then just did not show up for a game against the fighting waffle makers.
Especially after all of the hilarity where Donald Trump just clearly told FIFA to reverse the red card, and they just did it.
You're going to reverse the red card. It's going to be wonderful.
And he's like, nobody knows more about sports than me. I didn't even know what a red card was. Like, literally, back-to-back sentences, hysterical. And FIFA's like, oh, no. He reached out to us, but we didn't do it. Like, oh, yeah. Yeah, the guy who they gave a fake peace prize to asked him to do something, and they just did it. Interesting.
And then I retweeted. He didn't score or help.
Yeah,
in any way.
I saw a tweet and I retweeted it where it was just like, I've never been on this end of corruption before, and it feels awesome. Like, it's just so cool when there's just blatant corruption that benefits you.
Yeah.
So that's fun. But yeah, they played like shit. That third goal was pathetic, where the goalie was just like almost in midfield for some reason. And it's because I literally got home from wherever I was that night and saw the U.S. goal, and it was like, oh my God, momentum, this, momentum, that, yada, yada, yada. And then just the immediate Belgian goal that just, zapped any energy and momentum.
He hit the young Wei Ku. He kicked the ground trying to clear the ball out and just missed, and then got snapped,
but they won a game in the knockout round because the knockout round was one round larger than usual.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps. But yeah, I've enjoyed the World Cup. Argentina, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Pretty rude.
Because they're losing 2-0, and I said, I'm like, who's gonna win this thing? And one of my physical therapists was like, Argentina. I'm like, they're losing 2-0. He goes, they're going to score twice. And he was wrong because they scored 3 times. That's what I said. I'm like, wrong 3 times. But
that's wild.
But yeah, I as you guys know, we're not a huge soccer. Yeah, it's an understatement, but I always try to enjoy the World Cup, but I've been thoroughly enjoying it this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, Team USA being good definitely helps. Sucks that they couldn't, push it a little bit further and try to ingrain it into our country that soccer's a sport we should care about, but hey, try again in 4 years, I guess. And then your weekly Brandon Ayuk is continuing to unravel update. So it's just like, yeah. Every single time he does something, it just becomes more and more clear that he doesn't really know what he's doing. Because this was the latest update. He posted just a long wall of text on Instagram, and Brandon Ayuk said, quote, "When the news finally came out that my guarantees were voided in November, the team continued to lie to the media/fan base, acting as if that was not a decision that was made in July, continually saying that I would be returning, despite the fact that I told them on numerous occasions that I would not be. With the severity of my injury and guarantees no longer on the table, that was not an option." Okay, fine. Continues and says, "We are 1 year from the date in which they made the decision to void my guarantees due to missed rehab, yet they have the footage and the GPS information that shows I reached markers I never hit even before injury, all before the required recovery time ordered by the surgeon." Now here is where we get stupid. He says, "I will not be reinstating with them, nor ever doing any kind of business with them. I'm locked in and focused on my opportunity to return to the field this season." Hashtag raise hail, the Commanders hashtag. Brandon.
First of all,
Brandon.
that was the most coherent thing that's come out of his camp.
I don't think
so
he wrote that.
No shot.
That's
what I'm saying.
He Chad GPT'd that.
Or somebody else wrote it for him.
Brandon,
No shot.
I have an update. I have some news. I have a revelation for you. In order for you to be in order for you to be eligible to be on another team and to be able to focus on playing football this year for a different team, you have to get reinstated with the current one first. You can't just ignore the 49ers and pretend like this is like there's not a process to this. Like there's not a way that this has to go. I don't know what this guy I'm so fascinated to see when we fast forward to like pre-week 1 or like approaching week 1 what kind of shit this guy's spouting, cuz like is he ever going to realize what the fuck's happening here? Or is he just going to continue to live in this world where he can just, someone snaps their fingers and he's on the Commanders? Because I just don't think he knows what's going on here. I really don't. It's very, very odd what he's doing. So, yeah, good luck finding whatever is left of your brain if you left it on the side of the road somewhere, Mr. Ayuk, because currently it seems like your brain is
when
empty.
Antonio Brown went nuts, he had already like ran away from the field. And you know,
but Antonio Brown was doing stuff that it was like he was doing unhinged stuff and like crashing out and whatever.
It's a little silly guy.
Antonio Brown never did anything that made me be like, he doesn't know what's going on. Like, he was doing insane unhinged thing. I don't know how to explain this, but it's like it was a different category of crazy. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm a loose cannon, all this stuff. Brandon Ayuk is like genuinely just an idiot. Like, he wants to play football, but he is not taking the steps necessary in order to be able to play football this year. He's just throwing a tantrum and assuming it's all going to work out when it's not. So, listen, I have seen a lot of posts about like how the Patriots over the years have avoided some bullets with receivers that they could have targeted, and Brandon Ayuk is absolutely one of them because we were in the mix for him at one point, and had he ended up in New England, I think I would have probably jumped off the top of my house by now. So thank God he did not. We got A.J. Brown instead, and we're going to go win the Super Bowl with him. So that's that. All right, Pat, are you ready for the AFC South divisional preview?
Sure.
Are you sure? You sure you're ready for our jingle?
Just play the fucking
folks.
I first of all, I don't know what this is going to be. By the way, I am just as in the dark as you are.
I'm gonna mute our mics for it, folks. Welcome to the new divisional preview jingle. Enjoy. This is for your ears. Division preview. Yeah. Division preview. Division preview.
Did you just like find some beat that was not copyrighted? Or something?
I did. Yeah, I went to I have a subscription to Epidemic Sound, and I typed it. They have like an AI assistant. I was like, help me find a jingle for a podcast.
Bro, are you aware that like I do this for a living? Like
yeah, but this took me 8 seconds, and I also didn't know I wanted to do it until this morning, and I thought of it.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yes,
so,
no, in the future, yes,
yeah,
I will contract Darksided to create future jingles for the show,
as God intended.
But. How you guys like this? Someone
division
my
preview.
Ears. This is heat for no reason. Perfect. I love it. My ears are pleased. 90s funky jams.
Yeah, that was really like a 90s like Full House
Well, I wanted to keep it like sort of in the theme of our intro, which is like jazz. Like, so I mean, that wasn't jazz. That wasn't jazz, but I didn't want to do like a total departure to like rock or like hip hop. I was like, let me do something else that's like kind of old schooly.
So fucking good.
So you know what? Hey,
that was so stupid. Division preview.
It's way too long. It's way longer than it needs to be. Division preview.
I've never heard someone say that to me before, which is nice.
Yeah. Division preview. Division. Division preview. Yeah. All right.
Ridiculous. Just absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I think I deserve some kind of Grammy for that. All right, let's get into the actual division preview now for the AFC South. All right. As I said last week, I'm not going to glaze this division like I do some others and be like, oh, there's a bunch of talent in here every single year. No, to be quite honest, the AFC South every year is kind of an interesting like fluctuation because like there's usually like one team that kind of gives you a good amount of fantasy juice and then the other ones don't, and you don't really know which one that's ever going to be year to year. Because a couple years ago, the Texans popped off, right? CJ Stroud's rookie year, they were awesome. They had a bunch of fantasy relevant guys. Last year it was the Colts, surprisingly ended up being really, really good in both real life and fantasy, at least for the first half or first 2/3 of last year till Daniel Jones went down. The Jaguars kind of been a struggle for most of the Trevor Lawrence era to get consistent fantasy production out of that whole team. You know, Travis Etienne well, I guess he was Travis Etienne back then. Travis Etienne had his moments back then.
Then.
Brian Thomas Jr. had the big rookie year, all that. But overall, it's been kind of a struggle to get actual consistency. And then the Titans, pretty much since Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown have been gone, I mean, ain't a whole lot going on there. We're heading into year 2 of Cam Ward. So last year, Cam Ward rookie year, got basically nothing out of that. Prior to that, we were dealing with Will Levis. There wasn't totally a lot to hang your hat on there.
Out here just house and mayo.
So what does that mean for 2026? Well, let's find out. So let's start with, might as well start with the Houston Texans. I'm rocking the Texans jersey, rocking the CJ Strizzy Stroud over here. We can start with them. We can start with him, even if he is not necessarily on a ton of people's fantasy radars right now, which is wild considering where we were at 2 years ago with CJ
Seriously?
Stroud. CJ Stroud was, I guess, prematurely, in hindsight, put in sort of top 5 to 10 quarterback conversations because of how good of a rookie year he had. And it has been pretty much nothing but a struggle since then. So now we have to figure out what we think of CJ Stroud in kind of this do or die 2026 season, what we think of this offense as a whole in a do or die 2026 season. Because the team overall should be pretty good just because the defense is outrageously disgusting. It's a bunch of alligators with kitchen knives just coming at you at full speed. But the offense is a big question. So they did not get rid of their offensive coordinator. Nick Caley will be running it back for a second year, which was a bit of a surprise. The one change they did make...
Sorry.
Pat's choking on his Red Bull. Isn't too much taurine, bull semen. They do at least have a new quarterbacks coach. I do not know the man's name right now. I just know they have a new quarterbacks coach. So that is something to change, at least as far as somebody who's working directly with the guy who's been struggling for now 2 straight years in CJ Stroud. My overall kind of outlook just on this team, here's what I wrote down. Defense is going to keep this team competitive even if CJ continues to suck. Make or break year for him, so maybe he figures things out, especially after they hired a new quarterbacks coach. But I think at this point it is safer to assume he continues to be meh, and thus the wide receivers for this team suffer. Nico's a monster talent, clear number 1 on this team, so he's still worth going after. To me, I'm not really sure anybody else is, but we'll get into them. Run game, a little bit different because I do like the run game. So, Pat, what is your feel right now surrounding this offense and surrounding the engine that is powering it, CJ Stroud?
So, Stroud in himself is being drafted here as a low-end QB2. You're really not drafting CJ Stroud, and I think that's fine because I'm not necessarily interested in him, but the point becomes, can CJ Stroud maintain, a level of production for his targets? I mean, him and Nico Collins have one of the better connections in the league. Like, Nico Collins is going to be an absolute target monster, but they've got guys like Jaden Higgins, who showed a lot in his rookie year. Jalen Noel was also an early-ish round receiver. Tank Dell, remember him?
He's alive.
Remember him?
As far as we know.
So it's like there are guys there that can make this offense productive. I'm also worried about Nick Caley because it just didn't work year 1. And in the NFL where it's so short-term memory, I'm shocked they kept him.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if it's not working with a coach, you don't develop it. If something's not working with a player, you think maybe, hey, we can develop this. Mm-hmm. We can do this. But with a coach,
yeah,
I don't see it a lot.
I think
so that does give me some apprehension.
Yeah.
But I don't. Again, at this point, it doesn't matter because we're not taking CJ Stroud, but I still love Nico Collins. He's going as a wide receiver 1. I would still pick him as a wide receiver 1. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he may go late in the first round in a full PPR league. I don't hate that.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think the Nick Caley thing is interesting. I was with you, obviously, at the end of last season. We were talking about it. We kind of expected them to move off of him. But at the same time, there were deficiencies with this offense that did not just come down to him. The offensive line was terrible. Again, they lost several tight ends due to injury throughout the year, which they are already talking about trying to go multi-tight ends this year. Last year, they were kind of forced into more of those multiple, extra offensive linemen sort of sets that they didn't necessarily want to be in. They were saying it made their offense, they felt, be more predictable, which makes sense because those extra linemen are not out there to receive. So, they're probably running the ball.
And but you're telling me Keelan Rutledge isn't going to be catching touchdowns every other
Yeah, I mean, so they're out there doing that, and trying to run the ball with a run game and running backs that weren't very good. We came into the year pretty low on Nick Chubb and Woody Marks, and we turned out to be right. I mean, Woody Marks had a couple of spike weeks, I guess. Nick Chubb had a couple of serviceable weeks, but overall, that run game was as bad as we expected. I think heading into a new season with a totally revamped offensive line and a running back who's like actually good, I do think it's interesting. And healthy tight ends. I think it'll be interesting to see what Nick Caley can do now that he has, a little bit more weaponry at his disposal. So one thing I do want to mention, just as an overall kind of theme, as my house falls apart behind me, I don't know what's happening.
I think she just closed the door.
That's fine. I mean, maybe she should knock it off. Stop making so much noise. The NFL as a whole, and this was a great topic brought up by my boy Joel. I think it's Smith. I don't know. It might be Smythe. Joel Smythe, SMYTH, yep. on TikTok, but he's also works with Yahoo Sports, Yahoo Fantasy. He was talking about how the league is moving toward, like I kind of touched on with the Texans, multiple tight ends. That is becoming a more popular personnel set, which means the guys who are the top two receivers on their team become even more important because they are the ones who are going to be on the field more. If you are putting more tight ends on the field, your wide receiver 3, whoever that may be, is coming off the field even more often than he used to be. So we've talked about guys who are just slot guys are less valuable. That is becoming even more true. And so with that being the case with this Texans offense, because the Texans drafted, what the hell is his name? I have it right here. Marlon Klein in the second round. That potentially indicates their intention to go more toward those two tight end sets. He is a blocking tight end. The Jags did the same thing. Everybody clowned on their pick, including myself, with the Nate Borkature selection, and we'll talk about the Jags.
Well, that one's a little different, but
no, it's not different though. They reached on him, but he's a blocking tight end.
Yeah.
So that tells me that they are planning to do the same thing, which is go multiple tight end. It was still a bad pick, but they have an idea. Like if you're making a reach like that, it's because you have an idea in mind of what you're going to do with it. So if we are going toward these two tight end sets even more, that means a guy like Nico Collins becomes even more valuable. I saw one of the stats that Joel brought up was that Nico Collins, when there were two tight ends on the field, his target share was 36%, as opposed to when there were not there was only one tight end on the field, his target share was like 20-something%, which is standard, still good. But, if we're heading toward more of this, like, I don't know what percentage the Seahawks ran last year, but it just kind of reminds me of them where they funneled everything through JSN. He had like a 30 ridiculous percent target percentage. That is something we could see for a guy like Nico Collins. That is something we could see at higher percentages for guys in the Jags offense, depending who wins that role. So just something to keep in mind as the league changes, because these are sort of those macro changes that people don't think about until the season comes along, and those wide receiver 3 dart throws that you were hoping they could make the most of their time on the field. Well, they're not going to be on the field enough to make a difference. So that's what makes me worried about guys like Jalen Noel. That's what makes me worried about the recovery potential of my boy. As much as I love him, Tank Dell, he might not see the field as much as he did 2 years ago when he popped off. So just something to keep in mind. The Texans offense is absolutely changing. They got a lot of new pieces. I think CJ could bounce back. Again, I'm not going to bank on it just because, the struggle's been real the last couple of years.
No kidding.
It has been. But the offensive line has changed a lot. Maybe this latest reshuffling will help. They added Braden Smith, who they poached from the Colts to be their new right tackle. They drafted Keelan Rutledge to be, as of right now, he's projected to be their center. Is it Wyatt Teller or is it him that's going to be their center?
Him and Wyatt Teller.
Wyatt Teller was the other guy that they acquired. He is coming over from the Cleveland Browns. So they've reshuffled 3 new pieces of their offense. Okay, so no, Rutledge center, Wyatt Teller left guard. Maybe this configuration works, and maybe they finally get some protection for CJ.
It's certainly going to be an upgrade, but again, just the fact that they are going in on it is indicative of we know our weaknesses. And it's funny knowing their weaknesses and then still drafting Caden McDonald in the second round, who was a bit of a steal there and is just going to add to just the absolute freak of nature that is that Titans, Jesus Christ. See,
Oilers?
Bald, Titans on the mind. Yeah, the Oilers.
You say Oilers, you're right either way.
Yeah, their defense, especially their front, which is so good. So, yeah, I know you mentioned Jaden Higgins. I believe it was in our breakout player draft. Is somebody he obviously I definitely like him a lot better than Jalen Noel, just in the sense that he's a bigger body. He's more of a traditional outside wide receiver as opposed to Noel, who's a bit more of a speed demon type guy. What do you expect here from Higgins? He's going as wide receiver 50, so you could get him relatively late. Do we think that he can break out like you mentioned in our draft.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Again, it comes back to that if they are going to be doing a more heavier personnel, like Higgins is probably going to be the guy that's out there in those two receiver sets.
Sure.
So that definitely works in his favor. And I mean, the guys that he is being drafted around, I'm not totally out on Xavier Worthy yet. I see him going a couple of picks above Higgins, or at least a couple of ranking spots above Higgins. We're looking at other wide receivers. Josh Downs goes before him. I think that's correct. But your
spoilers.
Your Jaden Reeds of the world, your Wan'Dale Robinsons of the world.
Spoiler again.
I think, I know. God, there's so many. Why are there so many mid receivers in this division?
Dude, this outside of Nico, I was literally. we'll get to I have a little aside, but we'll get to that later.
The guys, receivers going behind Higgins, or even the other positions, like, I mean, if you don't have a quarterback, I love the value on Tyler Shuck here in the overall rankings, but Higgins is at 123 overall here on Fantasy Pros. You're looking at the receivers behind him. Khalil Shakir, no thanks. Romeo Dobbs, even as a Patriots fan, no thanks. Casey Concepcion, love the talent.
Maybe.
Browns, no thanks. Not this year. And then, I think
Jonathan Brooks.
As far as receivers go, like, I feel like he's got some of the highest, like, target potential of the guys in here, like, most consistent usage. So, I mean, I'm definitely in on Jaden Higgins just as the dart throw that this offense does get back on track, because somebody other than Nico Collins has to catch the goddamn ball, I think, maybe. So, I like where he's going. And then, like you mentioned with Nico Collins, we don't have to spend too much time on him because he's just elite. He's awesome. I would take him.
Hopefully he stays healthy. It seems to get these nagging injuries that miss him a couple weeks. But, again, if we're talking targets, target share, he is rightly ranked as the wide receiver 8 here. And again, if you do take him at the end of your first round, especially in a full PPR draft, I'm game. I'm cool
and
with
Nico,
that.
the big thing with Nico is like he manages to be good even when the offense stinks. Because last year, other than the injury issues, like these are good numbers. Pat and I pulled up his game logs, and I mean, week 1 was a struggle, so out the gate he was a little bit slow, but after that, fantasy points, half PPR, 12.7, 18.4, 9.9, 14.0, early bye week, 4.7. I think he might have left this game early considering he missed the next one.
I think so too.
And then 11, 19.1, 19.7, and this was with the Texans offense being awful. So, like, if they get good again, you could get back to the guy who was, in that kind of outside discussion of being the wide receiver 1 a couple years ago. Like, that was a legitimate possibility. So, I don't think that's impossible if CJ Stroud gets his shit together. And I think the Texans have done as much as they can to help him get his shit together. And look, CJ Stroud's fighting for an extension, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is as much of a motivated year as you're ever going to get out of the guy. So
and the thing is I feel
optimistic.
with this way the Texans are going, it's not kind of like a case of Trevor or Tua where it's like, well, this guy might not be the best, but he's kind of what fits. I don't think that's the case with the Texans. I think they would certainly be willing to move in a different direction if Stroud cannot figure it out. I don't think this is a case where they're kind of going to be like settling. Almost the way, we'll talk about Trevor Lawrence, but at the time, the Jags settled for Trevor Lawrence or the Dolphins settled for Tua.
Yeah, I mean, look, you cannot, we've talked about it before. We're in the era where you basically get a market resetting extension or you get like 20-something million a year, like what Malik Willis just got. CJ Stroud, the last 2 years, 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks. And then last year, 3,041 yards, 19 touchdowns, 18 picks. You are not resetting the market for those numbers. Like, if he puts up another season in line with that again, he's not getting $60 million a year. Look, maybe CJ breaks the mold and we finally do get our first middle ground quarterback extension ever in the last few years. And he gets like 35-ish million a year. I could see that if they were holding on to the hope that he bounces back, even if he does have another mediocre year. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what comes forth for him and this offense. Now, the run game here in Houston, Pat. David Montgomery, the new man in town, RB24, 63rd overall. Woody Marks, RB46, 137th overall. I believe Montgomery is one of those guys where his ranking differs pretty heavily between what we're looking at here as the Fantasy Pros consensus and what you may find on like ESPN leagues. Let me look real quick here. Actually, I'm going to go to the cheat sheet central since ESPN is what, a lot of people default to here. So the PPR top 3 hundo. Where is Mr. Montgomery? I feel like I'm playing Where's Waldo here. Okay, no, he's literally in the same exact spot. Wow, 63rd overall here, just RB26 on ESPN. So, I mean, Pat, I could not be more in.
I love David. I love that
price, brother.
I love David Montgomery this year. Even if he was ranked a little higher, I'd still like David Montgomery a lot this year. You look at Joe Mixon 2 years ago, where we were looking at a not necessarily in his prime Joe Mixon, just carve shit up.
Yeah.
Tons of red zone opportunities. And while Woody Marks looked solid last year, he had some nice weeks. I think he broke the NFL record for most trips to the medical tent without leaving a game, because he literally quite literally did that almost every game, it felt like, as a Woody Marks owner. And I traded you fucking Darnell Mooney for Woody Marks last year.
Yeah.
I mean, Woody wasn't great, but you're looking at what is an upgrade, especially in the short yardage situations. You know, we saw, again, in Detroit last year, it was just that Jahmyr Gibbs was inevitable. He was so good that, you know, there was no reason to not be giving him touches. So for David Montgomery to be able to go and be the lead back in what should be a decent offense here is...
Even if it's not, because Mixon huge. Popped off in, again, another bad version of that offense. Mixon obviously didn't play last year, but the Texans were just as bad and just as disheveled the year prior. It's just they had the one thing that was working for them, which was Joe Mixon, and he was putting up ungodly numbers that year. So it's, you know, I don't think David Montgomery is quite the talent that Joe Mixon is. I don't think he's insanely far off, but I think
he's right there. I'll be honest.
I mean, I think he's close enough that he could have a great year for fantasy. No question about it. And yeah, to me, like when I was putting together my personal early rankings, I had David Montgomery closer to like an early 4th rounder, if not a late 3rd rounder, rather than 63rd overall, which puts him at the start of the 6th round.
Yeah.
Like,
and you look at some of the guys around him. We'll talk about Bashal too, and I prefer David Montgomery. Travion Henderson going before him is a crime. Quinshon Judkins, give me David Montgomery.
You're just talking about
then you get into the
touch total.
Then you get into like DeAndre Swift, Bucky Irving, Cam Scadaboo. It's more of a conversation at that point.
Sure.
But I think Montgomery is firmly a solid RB2. I think he's closer to a high-end RB2 than he is a low-end RB2 like he's being drafted here. And even if you're talking flex, there are other guys in this spot. Roma Dunze, Christian Watson, Mike Evans. It's like David Montgomery, I think, holds a lot of water against those guys.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations where he's the every down back is a dying breed in the NFL.
He's proven he can be productive without that role.
But it's like, I think he's got an opportunity to kind of have that role. Like this year, you know, Woody Marks last season, I don't want to discredit him because he had some decent games, but there was not much here that makes me think he's going to be able to fend off David Montgomery from being... This isn't going to be a 1A, 1B, I don't think. I think this is going to be a 1-2. Like, this is going to be Woody Marks going to come in. He's going to get some work, but Woody was not, you know, jumping off the page at you last year to the point where obviously the Texans felt the need to go out and get a guy like David Montgomery. Yeah. They actively traded for him. So look, maybe my projection of the workload split is off, and maybe that's why I like Montgomery so much. Maybe Woody does stay more involved than I feel like he will, but to me, David Montgomery is just better, and I think they're looking for a new kind of identity for their offense.
I think he's going to be a little more involved than just a true backup, but yeah, I think there is a definitive packing order here. Yeah, David Montgomery might be one of my favorite players in this whole division.
Yeah,
based on value.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to take him anywhere starting in like the 4th round. So I could even justify the 3rd round if you really need a running back because of just how many touches I think he's going to get.
Or if you're in a league like us where running backs get sucked like a fucking vacuum
cleaner. Fucking
cleaner.
1st round.
Yeah. So.
And then the last thing here, Dalton Schultz. No.
Yeah, you know, again, he is the epitome of the waiver wire darling, where not like that he's going to win you week, just that he's going to be on the fucking waiver wire article every single week.
Dalton Schultz had 6 targets and he caught 3 of them.
That's
for
what I mean.
60 yards.
He's the epitome of the 4 catches for 60 yards, which isn't awful, but you can do better. I really think you could do better.
He finished as the tight end 12 last year, which might make you think like, oh, he was a tight end 1 in 12 team. No, that is not. We've talked about it so many times in the show. You do not settle for a guy who finishes as the tight end 12. You aim higher than that because you are just not going to be happy with that long term. So fuck Dalton.
Does this pod have a mod, Xander? You're looking at him.
Yes.
You're looking at him,
Pat. We don't.
I did put someone in timeout today, actually. So we'll see if they come back. They will be banned if they come back.
behave yourselves.
They were just spamming individual letters, and I'm like, just shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah, no, we don't need that.
Yeah.
All right. The Indianapolis Colts. Maybe the most volatile, interesting, could go either way team, which is funny because I feel that way about the Texans too. Like they could go either way. I have no idea.
It's just
but
so
the Colts
funny.
is dependent on something a little different.
Dichotomy here where you have the Texans, we talked about a ton of guys. The Jags, we're going to talk about a ton of guys. The Titans, we're going to talk about a ton of guys. We're going to talk about 5.
Yeah.
Here for the Colts.
5.
The whole
burgers and fries.
Burgers and fries. The whole thing that there are 5 players, a traditional offense, a quarterback, a running back, 2 receivers, and a tight end.
Yeah.
That's it that's being ranked. So in theory, it's like this offense is going to be very conducive to these players. So in theory, they're really good. What happens at quarterback?
Yeah.
Because we'll talk about Daniel Jones from a fantasy perspective in a little bit, but that offense really kind of ran through him. Like the connections he had with Alec Pierce, for Jonathan Taylor's kind of offense proof. But if that offense is even better, that's even better for Jonathan Taylor. And Tyler Warren fell off a little bit at the end of the year without Daniel Jones as well. So it's funny to say with how much we've shit on Daniel Jones in our lifespan of a podcast, he is so crucial to this offense. And if things go well with this offense, we could be looking at some extremely productive fantasy players here.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I don't know that the possibility is being talked about enough that they just look like they did in the first 8, 9, 10, whatever games it was again. Because they might. It's easy to say you want to write off Daniel Jones because of the Achilles injury, and he had such a tumultuous career up to that point, and it's like, okay, well, I guess maybe it's just not meant to be for Daniel Jones. I will push back and say that these Achilles surgeries and recoveries are getting better and better, and I think that's something you need to take into account. This is not like it used to be where Achilles injuries were kind of a death knell for anybody at any position for their high-end production, especially when you consider the fact that, we thought Daniel Jones, if he was going to be fantasy relevant last year, A, it was going to just be as a streamer at best, and B, it was going to be because of his rushing. He was not rushing, like not to the point where he was in New York. This guy was just, he was moving around the pocket to be able to extend plays, but this was a pocket passing, run the offense through the air and then let Jonathan Taylor do his part through the ground kind of thing that allowed them to be so good and so dangerous. I see no reason, it's a tough gamble because health can just go either way and you literally just have to make a guess. Like, do you think he's going to recover well enough? But I think it's a decent bet that he's going to recover. One thing to point out here, Daniel Jones is not Aaron Rodgers, but that's not the point I'm trying to make here. Aaron Rodgers came back from his Achilles tear and threw for nearly 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 picks. Okay, again, he's Aaron Rodgers. We don't need to compare one-to-one.
Yeah.
The point I'm going to make here is his full year prior to that with the Packers, 3,700 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 picks. He basically got back to, if not exceeded, his production pre-Achilles tear. That is how good these surgeries are getting, because Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He's not like... There's nothing about Aaron Rodgers that says his Achilles should heal better than Daniel Jones's. Like they're old. They're white guys. They're just adult
it's also
white
that
guys.
He's old. I was saying is Rodgers is much
Right.
older
The
than
fact
Daniel
that he was
Jones
able
as
to do
well.
that
So
even works more in
that
Jones'
even
favor.
I was gonna say that bodes even better for Jones there. So
There's
we'll
a
see.
chance. There's a chance Jones just comes back and looks exactly like how he did to start the year.
You
It
know-
might be a little bit of a slow start because of him tearing it later into the year than Rodgers did. Again, remember Rodgers literally played a snap for the Jets and then came back the following season, even though he thought he was going to be coming back that season. That didn't fucking happen. But Daniel Jones, tearing it a little later in the year, we might get a slow start, but I think there's a chance we get back to what the Colts looked like prior, and that is massive for everybody in that offense.
I quite frankly think it is shocking that there is an expectation, obviously optimistic, that he starts week 1. Why the hell is he going QB 25? Why is he going behind CJ Stroud? Why is he going behind Cam Ward? We saw what he could do as this sort of pocket passing quarterback, in addition to the rushing upside. Obviously, he might not run quite as much now, especially because of the Achilles, but he's proven he can run before too. So if I'm taking a quarterback this low down, I'm taking the shot at Daniel Jones rather than, boring old CJ Stroud or second year Cam Ward. I'm taking the shot here.
As much as I do think we need to factor in the possibility of Jones coming back and looking great, I will push back on the idea of just drafting him. And I could absolutely be wrong, but Daniel Jones last year was kind of like, we're looking at, again, we have his game logs pulled up here. There was an incredible game week 1, 29.5 points. After that, 22.8, another good game against the Broncos defense. Crazy. Then he went for a pretty cold stretch of 15.8, 12.4, 16.7, but that was still while the Colts offense was putting up
That's also
numbers.
Not going to necessarily lose you weeks either.
Right. Well, I mean, 15, 12, 16 is not great if your opponent's got a quarterback putting up 22, 23, but I know what you mean. It's not
duds.
7. Yeah, I get what you mean there, but I feel like if you take even 10% of this production off, I'm probably not super interested. I mean, he's QB 25. Like, there's just so many. If you want to take him and just see what happens, sure. I think I would take a Malik Willis, a Tyler Shuck, even a Cam Ward. I'm not super interested in Jones himself. I'm more interested in what he can do for the offense.
Not taking him to be my starter, obviously.
Of course not.
At this
Not
point,
your sole starter.
I think his ADP is going to rise a bit more as we go through the offseason training camp and stuff and see that, hey, this guy is going to come back week 1. I do think his ADP will rise a little bit, but I think it's a fair shot to take if you wait on quarterback a little and end up drafting like a Bo Nix or a Kyler Murray as your starter or whatever, and you maybe want a second guy there. Take a shot. I think it's fair to take a shot, but it comes down to, yes, like Stroud, what can he do for these targets? I mean, Jonathan Taylor's Jonathan Taylor, straight up. I saw in the chat asking, is he a top 3 running back? He's currently going as RB4. I have him as my RB3. I do have him over Christian McCaffrey because we talked about McCaffrey last week, concerns with the health, concerns with the workload. There are no concerns with Jonathan Taylor's workload.
No.
I think he might be like the only running back, again, I could be wrong, whose backup is not in the top 200. Like every other team's backup is there. What is it, DJ Giddens and whoever the hell else is there? We're not even ranked. That is how much of a focal point Jonathan Taylor is to this offense. What, he's currently going 8th overall? Yeah, slam it. Yeah, I mean, slam it.
He's the guy that, in our league, as I pick 5th overall, I'm really narrowing my choices to like him and Genty at this point. And I think both valid picks, but Taylor's a guy that, we've seen do it. And last year, even when the offense kind of created, so look, he was putting up ungodly numbers to start the season. So you're drafting for the possibility that he could do that all year if Jones is healthy. And even if he's not, even if Jones takes a step back, looking at what Taylor did down the stretch of last year when that offense couldn't get off the ground, it was still like, okay, like this floor of this, this 7.6 against the Chiefs stinks, but 13.6, 11.4, 11.6, 15.4, 15.9, that is not, you're not drafting that guy in the top 5 if you know that those are the numbers that are coming. But if you're drafting a guy who has the realistic shot of still reaching this ceiling that he had early in the season while knowing that this back half is as bad as it can get with Phillip Rivers, who was 100 years old, like
Phillip Rivers, Riley Leonard, literally just
and I would assume the Colts are coming into the season, not that they're doing anything more about it necessarily, but a little more prepared for the chance that Daniel Jones could have a setback or could be underwhelming, not going to be as caught off guard by it if something were to happen. But either way, chasing this, like, I don't blame you for chasing this ceiling of 28, 31, 30, 21, 32, 36, 48 against the Falcons, knowing that the worst it's going to get is like 11. Like,
and the other thing too, in these games where Daniel Jones was playing, he was getting targeted. You see there, he had 7 games last year where he had 4 or more targets, which obviously Taylor can catch the ball. He's just never necessarily been known for that because of how good he is between the tackles and just what he provides. Like you said, you're picking 5th and he's one of the guys you're targeting. I'm fully expecting him to be the guy that I end up drafting.
Sure.
Like, he's a guy where I'm sitting there and it's like, all right, if the board falls the way I think it's going to fall, I could very well end up with Jonathan Taylor at 6th, and I would be very happy with that.
100%.
But now the question is the pass catchers. Yeah. They said Michael Pittman, see ya. And they went all in on the great white hope, Alec Pierce, which
dealing with injury issues of his own.
Was polarizing.
Well. Yeah.
Because Pierce was always the Gabe Davis boom bust kind of guy. Him and Daniel Jones have an awesome rapport. Mm-hmm. They just showed last year that Alec Pierce is the guy, is Daniel Jones' guy. at wide receiver 32, 72nd, but that's round 6, 7-ish. I really like Pierce at that point. Is he a guy that you're going to necessarily have like as your wide receiver 1? No, he's going as a wide receiver 3. If Alec Pierce is my wide receiver 3 on my team, after seeing the ceiling he had last year, no more Michael Pittman as well.
Mm-hmm.
I like that value there. Like, I was thinking about it based on value. Pierce is my second favorite wide receiver in this whole division.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe more torn on Alec Pierce than I am on any player possibly in fantasy football because of all the factors at play with him, because you had the unexpected breakout last year where he clearly expanded his game beyond just being a deep threat merchant. You have the fact that Daniel Jones does have questionable health coming into the year. You have to figure out which way that's going to fall. You have Michael Pittman's departure. That's another positive versus, the negative of Jones's health. And then you've got the fact that Pierce is dealing with an injury of his own. And that is, to me, that's the biggest question mark because it's kind of under wraps right now. It's kind of under the radar a little bit because of just the time of year that it is. But Alec Pierce, let's see, what's the update on him? Ankle operation in March, 4 to 6 month recovery timeline. Imagines he'll be back at some point in training camp and hopes to be ready for week 1. I think the injury stuff on top of all the other risks make me a little weary of him where he's going, which fantasy pros wise, it was like 70 something overall.
Yeah, 72nd overall.
ESPN has him at 69th overall.
Nice.
I'm
old enough to remember when that was the funny number.
I understand that you're looking at a guy that they paid like $30 million a year and you're like, okay, follow the money there. I kind of look at it as it could be life is a little bit harder for him without Michael Pittman there. And yeah, I don't know. I don't love the price on him. I think if he didn't have his own injury, I would be feeling better about it. Right now, I don't know that I like these other receivers around him more, though. I guess this is kind of just a dead area. I guess I'm reaching a little bit further down because the guys right around him, at least on ESPN's rankings, you've got Jordan Tyson. As much as we love the Saints, total unknown, Jordan Tyson.
Michael Pittman, his buddy.
Parker Washington is as high as the wide receiver 1, as low as the wide receiver 3 for the Jags. We'll talk about them in a second, but he's a little bit of a wild card. I think I like the Christian Watsons, the Mike Evans, the let's see if there's anybody else here. Yeah, I mean, really just them as far as receivers in the near rankings, more than Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce, he just makes me a little nervous. Makes me a little nervous. So, Josh Downs, though.
Well, I was gonna say, if he makes you nervous, then who do we think that benefits? Because I think obviously the first notion is to go to Tyler Warren, tight end 459th overall, who was great with Daniel Jones out there. They'll put him anywhere. They'll put him under center. They'll put him in the backfield. They'll put him at fullback.
They'll put him at kicker.
They'll put him out wide. They put him on the line of scrimmage. It is clear that after years of not really having much of a tight end there, they found a guy who is a really interesting player that can be utilized in so many ways. And we talk about it, top 2 target on the team. I know you like Josh Downs. I also like Josh Downs. That said, I think Tyler Warren is the clear-cut number 2 target on this team. And again, you're looking at tight ends. Obviously McBride and Bowers, and then Loveland going ahead of him. I think you can have a discussion about him and Loveland, but I think at tight end 4, going at 59, so what, that's 6th round, I think. Yeah, I think that's fair for Tyler Warren there. Again, that's a guy that is going to be involved with not a ton of competition around him, especially if Alec Pierce is banged up still.
Yeah, I think I'm more interested in Downs just because of the cost. Wide receiver 48, 113th overall. I mean, obviously you're getting a much better value with him, but Warren, to me, the difference with him and like a Colston Loveland is Warren was decisively good, the first 10 weeks of the season last year before Jones went down. But I look at what Warren did, and if you got this all year, you'd definitely be happy. But to me, I guess the bull case for improving is just that Pittman's gone, right? And he's going to take a lot of those high value targets, and I could see that. But I don't know. I don't find myself fantasizing about a big step forward for Warren. And I guess it's just, again, it's the combination of factors of Jones's health, not knowing exactly. Although I think he'll bounce back nicely. You don't know for certain. And when it comes to tight end, we talk all the time about like it's worth either taking one of the top guys or taking one of the later guys. I worry that Warren's going to fall into like the last year's Sam Laporta kind of category where, yeah, he'll be good. Are you going to be thrilled about it week to week? I don't know. I could be wrong. Like, because Warren's a great talent, and Warren does not have an Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams to compete with. He's got Josh Downs and Alec Pierce. That's different. That's lower end.
He could realistically be the number one target.
He could
if things fall in his favor.
And maybe my sentiment on him will change. But right now, I'm just not like super juiced about it. To me, it's like if you're between him, Pierce, and Downs, looking at all three of them, I think they all have almost an equal chance of putting up really nice fantasy numbers. So give me the guy that's going 113th overall and who I liked prior to this year. And was the guy that I've been hoping will break out. Maybe that's a detriment to him, the fact that I've been hoping and thinking he could break out and he hasn't managed to do so yet. Maybe he's just not that guy. But I'm going to continue to give him some faith and be interested in Downs versus spending tight end 4 price on Tyler Warren. It just doesn't feel great.
All right, hit the buttons.
Oh, we've got buttons, baby. Do we have fucking buttons?
Do we want to save it? Too late. I was going to say, do we want to save it for last, but it's too late.
Duval.
The Jacksonville Jaguars,
now,
baby.
This team is so interesting to me because it is clear that Liam Cohen and Grant Udinski, who they managed to hang on to as their offensive coordinator, are clearly very bright offensive minds.
Yes.
And they have a lot of talent, which is going to lead to a very good real-life offense.
Yeah.
How the fuck is that supposed to translate to fantasy? We look at it
This
here.
shit gonna be
They
spread
have 5. We're going to be talking about 5 pass catchers. And unlike the 5 we're going to talk about with the Titans, these 5 are all genuinely very
And
viable.
we're talking about a fucking cornerback for one of
That's
them.
what I mean. We're talking about 5 really good players or, guys who can really contribute to this. So I guess let's start with the running game to get it out of the way here.
Oh, yeah.
Get it out of the way because I think the more of the conversation is going to be based on the passing game here.
Bishop to it, baby!
I think it is so indicative. We've talked about it. They did nothing. There were plenty of running backs to take in those middle rounds to supplant or, even pass out Bashal Tutin. They brought in Chris Rodriguez.
C-Rod, baby.
Who...
Not even on the first page of fantasy.
It's funny because I actually like Chris Rodriguez.
I do too.
It's funny because where he's going, RB43, 129 overall. They brought him in because Tutin is on the smaller. I think he's like 5'9", a smaller running back. Chris Rodriguez is a tank. That man just is a short yardage merchant, and we saw in Washington, like the good weeks he had last year is because of the touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So I genuinely think at RB42, Chris Rodriguez has some, has a role in this offense. And I think he's going to nab, maybe like 8 rushing touchdowns on the season. That's what I'm saying. I think it's possible, to be honest with you. But at the same time, Tutin, I still love Tutin because I love Tutin too. Shit's pants. You guys know how I love. That was one of the things in the Bran part. My favorite bit is Pat shitting his pants. Like, thanks a lot, pal. But again, the fact that they let Travis Etienne go.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Not bring in Chris Rodriguez, who again plays his role on a team. They brought in no one to really challenge Tutin as the main guy in that backfield. Goes to show that Liam Cohen and Grant Udinski believe in this kid. It's not just his name. Bashal Tutin, all aboard.
Yeah, I agree. And some things to note about Chris Rodriguez. He was with Liam Cohen at Kentucky, so there's familiarity there. There is a reason he
actually did not know that.
Yeah, they were together at Kentucky, so there was some intentionality behind bringing him to the Jaguars, and I think that's where a lot of people are getting caught up. They're like, oh, Rodriguez has this prior relationship. He likes the guy. He's going to use the guy, and that very well could be true. Rodriguez has some solid numbers over 3 years with the Commanders. Like the yards per attempt are good, 4.8, 4.9, and then 4.5 last year, getting his first taste of some actual workload. 112 carries for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. That is not bad. And that was for a Commanders team that was just desperately looking for any sort of running back to do anything
production
for them. Yeah, it's tough. I think that's why this has become just maybe the most contentious like positional argument in fantasy, at least for running backs, of which of these guys, because it's like I feel like you have the people who think they're big braining because they're like, it's going to be Chris Rodriguez. Like you have to realize that, you know, he's going to be the guy. It's not going to be the flashy Bashal Tutin, like open your third eye. It's Chris Rodriguez. And then you've got the people that are like, but Bashal Tutin's better.
And has a funny name.
I think if you're going to plant your flag in either one, like, and I understand the ADP is super far apart, you have to picture all the possibilities. I don't see a world where like Chris Rodriguez takes this backfield to himself. I don't necessarily see a world where if he and Bashal Tutin are both healthy, I'm happy starting Chris Rodriguez week to week, especially with how involved Trevor Lawrence is with his legs on the goal line and such. If I'm investing in a running back in this offense, I'm going to shoot for the ceiling a little bit more and invest in the guy that I think can be effective with both guys healthy. And that's Bashal Tutin, who at RB 25, 64th overall, I still think there's plenty of room for him to return on that value if he proves to be one of the better backs just all around in the league. And you mentioned Chris Rodriguez being a tank and getting some of those touchdowns. Like that could absolutely happen. But Bashal Tutin is a guy that the Jags coaching staff has talked up as being able to get his pads low, being able to succeed on the goal line. That is not a place where at least they're indicating they're going to just take him off the field every time. Like that's a place where they still believe he can thrive. Chris Rodriguez not being paid a lot of money here either. Not that Tutin is because he was such a late round pick, but you know,
excuse me,
if we're trying to just take all the evidence into account, is there any way to know how this is going to get split? No. I like Bashal Tutin enough to say I'll take him. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like, am I going to probably make some safer picks around Tutin to compensate? Sure. But I am not going into the year afraid of Chris Rodriguez. I'm just not. So I'm very much in.
You know, I think that it is possible to like two running backs on a team at their given values. I think both these guys are going to have a role. If I had to put a number on it, I'd say it might be like 60-40 in favor of Tutin. But could this be a situation like the Detroit Lions had with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery? I think this offense is certainly good enough where that can happen.
But then add in the quarterback being mobile. The nice thing about Goff is that he don't.
And I think the big thing too here is that Rodriguez literally does not catch the ball. He has 6 catches in his career. He is not a pass catcher. And I know crazy. Fucking LaQuaint Allen Jr. was sort of their, their other back in that area. But if Tutin's going to be on the field, Chris Rodriguez is never going to be on the field in a passing down situation. That if it's LaQuaint Allen Jr., then that just fucking sucks. But it's more likely to be Tutin than Rodriguez if we're talking about the two main running backs here.
Yeah, I've talked about Tutin enough throughout the last season, and it didn't start as a meme. It developed into a meme, but I genuinely like the player, and so I'm not backing off now.
It just so happens that his name is fucking hilarious.
Who would I be to back off of him now that he has a legitimate path to starting?
All right, Alex, you might get put in timeout for facial Tutin.
Okay, yeah, that's egregious. So yeah, we are Team Toot over here, as if that wasn't fucking clear by the fact that he's literally above my bald head next to our fellow bald now, Austin Eckler.
Come back on the show, Austin. Now here's the thing: we have 5 pass catchers listed.
Brother,
I don't like any of them for the obvious reason.
Coward,
in the sense that there are too many, and they are all very good. Well, good in the sense that they are going to play their role. They're going to be strong. We're talking about. Brian Thomas Jr. is the highest ranked wide receiver, 35, 80th overall. Parker Washington's not far behind, wide receiver, 38, 90th overall. And then right there's Jacoby Myers at wide receiver, 42, 97th overall. There's the Brenton Strange in it all. And then there's a Travis Hunter in it all. Too many cooks in the kitchen for me. Especially after Brian Thomas last year just had the fucking yips.
Yeah.
Like genuinely just looked afraid to be out there at times. And with Liam Cohen just not being afraid to say, fuck it, I'm running my offense through Parker Washington and Brenton Strange. But to have guys as talented as Brian Thomas and Jacoby Myers in the slot and the second overall pick in Travis Hunter, I just think there's too much. There's not enough to go around here. If I'm picking any of these players, I'm picking Brenton Strange just because of the positional value. In the sense that as a tight end, he may have more value than others. But I just think there's too much going on here for any of these guys to be truly productive.
Yeah, and I hate to be on that side of things because it feels like the coward's way out, because we always talk about how ambiguity, breeds opportunity with fantasy. And when you have a situation with all these guys, like, yeah, it's the easy thing to say, I don't want anything to do with any of them. But right now, I'm kind of with you only because to me, the thing that really pushes it over the edge is Travis Hunter, because Travis Hunter, I think, is, at least right now, past the point of like being a standalone value for fantasy football. It sounds like he's still gonna play receiver, but it sounds like they're gonna focus on corner a little bit, but he's gonna mix in enough at receiver to be annoying. Not only is he gonna mix in enough at receiver to be annoying, I think he's gonna be given like some high value targets. So like if you're gonna put Travis Hunter in on offense, you have a purpose for him. Like I still think talent wise, he might be the most talented receiver that they have on that team. He's just not going to play receiver full time.
He just also happens to fucking be a really good cornerback.
So that archetype of player comes in to where he's not going to be used enough to be relevant on his own. At least I don't think he will, based on last season and how he got banged up trying to do both. I don't think he's going to be used enough to be able to do well on his own, but I think he's going to be used enough and in high value situations to where he's going to dampen down the value of all these other guys. On a prior show, I was pretty bullish on Parker Washington, and I think if I'm going to draft any Jags receiver, it is going to be him.
I agree.
Just based on the bevy of 100-yard games that he put up last year, and just the fact that he emerged out of a receiver room that he had no business emerging out of. Like that tells me so much about him and about his talent. But you're right. We have Brenton Strange, who was incredibly consistent in his own right. Like started the year okay, then came back off injury and was somehow better.
Very solid.
Couple of duds in a row with the Colts and Jets games, 4.2 and 3.1. But other than that, surrounding it, he had 11.8, 12.0, 12.4, 6.9, 14.2. So the 6 wasn't great either. But a lot of solid production there. And then if Brian Thomas Jr. bounces back at all, then you're right. It's spread so thin.
And
it's like, what do we do?
You haven't even mentioned Jacoby Myers either.
I have not.
Him being in the slot as well.
Intentional trade deadline acquisition.
That's what I mean. Obviously, they were banged up more last year. But I think to go back to your point on ambiguity, a lot of these situations where it's like ambiguity breeds productivity is more when, hey, everyone in this is kind of ass. Like, like the Packers wide receiver more so. There's a bunch of guys where you're just like,
that's where.
But the problem is these guys are all good.
Yeah, that's
the problem is that
like
there's no ambiguity because all these guys are just straight up good, as opposed to when there's a group of guys where it's like, wow, none of these guys are all that good. Someone's gonna emerge and turn out to be good or well used. I think all these guys are gonna be well used in the sense of real life football. I don't think Liam Cohen gives a fuck who gets the ball. He wants to score. He wants to win. Like I said, if Brenton Strange is a wide receiver, I am not even thinking about taking him. But it's just the fact that he's a tight end in positional value that has me somewhat interested in him. Yeah. But I just can't find myself, especially going where they are. Like if I was taking them to be on my bench, sure, I would take a Parker Washington.
I would take. You are drafting them for your bench. For the most part, like
wide receiver, they're wide receiver threes, but that's on the higher end of the bench.
89th overall, 80th overall,
higher end of the bench.
Yeah, it's your first.
So like, if I would take a shot at Brian Thomas Jr., I would take a shot at Parker Washington, but just not with the expectation that, hey, I hope that this guy can be in my lineup every week. Like, am I saying that none of these guys are going to be like that? No, sure. Some of these guys, there will be somebody on this team that you can start. I just think it's way too difficult to tell, and with where they're going. You take Brian Thomas Jr. at wide receiver 35, and he's the number 4 target on the team. Yeah. You take Parker Washington at wide receiver 38, and he's the 4th target on the team. It's just way too. This is way too good of an offense. Liam Cohen is just, again, like I said, he just does what he does. It doesn't matter who gets the football. But with all this said, I think it's great for Trevor Lawrence. I really like Trevor Lawrence.
Man, absolutely.
He was awesome at the end of the year last year, and again, you could talk about this, that, end of the year, huge spike games. He had huge spike games. Look at the end of the year, 44, 31, 24, 23, obviously week 18, to end the season. He is, and the thing that just gets me the most, can you slide over a little there on the stats to the rushing touchdowns?
Yes. Absolutely. Because
for whatever fucking reason, they let him run. He had 9 rushing touchdowns last year, 4 in the last 4 weeks of the year.
That's that Liam Cohen effect, because Baker Mayfield, same thing.
They're letting Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor can just, isn't a terrible runner to begin with. He's just not someone that's thought of as such. With all these great targets, with the rushing upside, QB9, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm very interested in him. He's one of those guys that I'm going to just try to not be afraid of and not overthink as far as drafting a quarterback this year, because I think I would love to take a shot. I mean, QB9 is not like a crazy value price, but like, yeah, to be able to get him and have
Sure,
him
it is at 73. I think so.
Leap into the top 5, which he finished there last year.
He certainly has the upside.
I'm with you. And just one last thing to touch on with the Titans why are the Titans just the alpha of this division in my brain? I know, we're the coaching staff now. With the Jaguars receivers, as I mentioned with the tight ends, that's why I think it was in my head. I was trying to say tight end. With the Texans, the Jags drafting Borkature with such a high pick. If they are going to go with the multiple tight end sets, which receivers stay on the field for the Jags? And to me, Pat, which this is the obnoxious part, like, Brian Thomas is probably one of them. He has to be. If you're in a 2-receiver set and you want anybody that can stretch the field vertically, even if that's all he's going to do, I think he's going to be out there. After that, it's like, I think the best bet is that it will be Parker Washington instead of Jacoby Myers most of the time. Because there will be a lot
of times where they may not be playing with a slot in the formation.
Well, that's what I mean. When you have 2 tight ends out there and you have to pick which 2 receivers it's going to be, I think Parker, because Parker's kind of a slot guy too, but I think he's going to be the one over Jacoby Myers. But that is more of a guess. To me, I feel much more confident saying it's Thomas. I just don't feel more confident saying that Thomas is going to do as much with those targets. So I don't know. It's weird. It's weird with Brian Thomas Jr. The one last conclusion I want to get with the Jags is just if you're drafting Brian Thomas Jr. because you think he's going to bounce back this year, I'm totally okay with that. Just understand that the role that he had when he broke out as a rookie is gone. It's dead. Yeah. That's not happening anymore.
Completely different coaching staff.
You drafting Brian Thomas Jr. in hopes that he bounces back. What you're hoping he does is what Alec Pierce does or did last year. You are hoping that he becomes that consistent downfield, just manages to make just manages to make a deep catch more often than should seem possible. That's what you're hoping for out of Brian Thomas Jr. as Pat just chokes himself to death.
I'm trying to hold in the breath. Sorry, I'm trying to scare myself.
Got one team left to go. See if your hiccups can
here's
persist.
The thing. Would you be willing to shave your whole beard so for Halloween you could be Robert Saleh and I could be Brian Dable?
No.
Oh, that'd be so fucking funny.
I'm not shaving the beard.
Oh, that'd be so funny though.
Ever. The shaving the head was enough of a bit. I'm not shaving. I will look awful. I will look
but you'll look like Robert Saleh. Very pasty Robert Saleh.
Not. Robert Saleh
is tan and jacked.
Exactly.
Man.
He's tan. I'm not tan. I'm not jacked.
He's Arab, I think. I think he's like Lebanese or something, Robert Saleh.
Yeah, he is. He's
a fucking hunk, by the way.
I will not be doing that.
So is Brian Thomas. Brian Dable. Well, sure he is too, but Brian Dable's a bigger hunk.
Okay.
And that's the only change in this division, actually, because we talk about changes. There have not been any until now.
The AFC South, very consistent with their play callers this year.
Completely revamped. Yeah. It is now Robert Saleh and Brian Dable, who, I think if anything, Brian Dable proved to be a strong offensive coach in New York. It's just, he may not be built to be an actual head coach. So I dig it. I like what they did. They're all very bald. Cam Ward, I think Cam Ward's going to make a nice step year 2, but I think we're looking at it from the perspective that Cam Ward will be able to boost the guys around him more so than actually being a viable fantasy piece himself. I don't necessarily... outside of a 2 QB league, I'm not interested in Cam Ward, but I'm interested to see how he does and how he improves to help these, because this is not as kind of an ass wide receiver group of targets, but there's a couple guys that are intriguing.
Well, with Carnell Tate there, I don't think it's like the worst that it could ever be. I think I think Ward, it's tough. You're right. I don't envision him being a guy that like takes this huge step forward as a quarterback to where you're happy starting him in fantasy, unless Carnell Tate is this like huge alpha receiver that you can lean on immediately, which is possible. I mean, because I'm thinking like best case scenario. What's Cam Ward's best case scenario? That he has kind of and maybe it's just the AFC South is on my mind, but like what CJ Stroud did his rookie year, which was moderate touchdown numbers, but a good amount of yards, and really leaned on Nico Collins and Tank Dell to be fantasy relevant. I just think there's a lot of moving parts. It feels scary to like invest a lot in Cam Ward, but I don't know. I think he's a good dart as a quarterback on your bench, just because he is.
And we know that Brian Daboll does like darts.
Yeah, true. We are talking about the number 1 overall pick, like from 2 years ago. So that is,
Oh yeah, I think you and I are a little more bullish on Cam Ward in general, because a lot of people expect to see the number 1 overall pick. They need to be incredible right away, or they're mid or ass.
The tough thing is that he doesn't do much with his legs, and I mean that's why I think the Stroud comp came to my head too, because he didn't really do much with his legs either, outside of a handful of games.
Yeah.
But in college, like Cam Ward, his career high was 8 rushing touchdowns with Washington State in 2023, but only 144 rushing yards.
I still can't believe Bro started at Incarnate Word and then became the fucking number 1 overall pick.
What a dog.
That's the only good part about this whole NIL transfer portal thing, is that guys that start there can actually get a chance to be really good. But yeah, so now the question just becomes, what does he do for the wide receivers? They take Carnell Tate at 5 when they had a bunch of other needs as well, which just goes to show that, hey, we like this guy. They did not have a number 1 target on that team. And Carnell Tate fills in very nicely. When he's going at wide receiver 30, 6th, 7th overall.
Give me Carnell Tate.
You're a big Carnell Tate guy.
Give me Carnell Tate. I think the offense has undergone enough change with Daboll coming in as the OC, with hopefully being able to get competent play out of Cam Ward, and this offense just needing a actual target to run things through. I don't care about Wan'Dale Robinson. I just don't.
I kind of do.
Wan'Dale, I just mean in terms of being able to allow Carnell Tate to be the guy. Like, Wan'Dale is not going to provide any resistance to Carnell Tate being the guy. Can Wan'Dale Robinson still be a flex-worthy PPR merchant again? Sure, he could. But Wan'Dale's a guy that we've seen. There's no world where Wan'Dale Robinson's the wide receiver 1 for the Titans.
I agree.
And so just because of that, I think he's going to operate in that short area of the field to where Carnell Tate is just going to be able to take the top off and do more of that mid-range stuff and be that traditional, wide receiver 1. And, Pat, I just really feel like we're getting a discount on a guy being drafted. This was the first receiver drafted.
5th overall, right? Or was it 4th?
4th overall.
4th overall.
We had to spend a top 15 pick if we wanted Marvin Harrison Jr. 2 years ago. We've gone too far the other direction now. The draft capital invested in this guy says, hey, we're going to throw this guy the ball a fucking lot. He's from Ohio State. He's going to be really good. I mean, that didn't work out for Marvin, but generally that's a good bet. It's not. So yeah, I mean,
there's the camera.
Speaking of Marvin Harrison Jr., Marvin's right here. 71st overall behind Carnell Tate, where he belongs.
I agree.
The players, let's see who Carnell Tate's around. I mean, DJ Moore, I think I like Carnell Tate a little bit more. Christian Watson so high. I like Christian Watson, but Jesus Christ. Roma Dunze, I think I'd rather have Carnell Tate than a Dunze. You're thinking about wide receiver 1 on his own team potential. DJ Moore's going to do that for sure, which is why we've talked about liking Moore as well. Roma Dunze, very much questionable. Christian Watson, I lean toward Watson, but it's questionable. Mike Evans, it's not questionable. He's going to be. Jamison Williams is not. Devontae Adams is not.
Jamison Williams is 50th overall, jeez.
Yeah, so I like Carnell Tate, man. This is a guy you talk about all the time. We could look back and say, duh. This motherfucker finishes as a top 8 receiver. Are we not well, duh.
Yeah.
Revamped offense, 4th overall pick, amazing talent. Give me Carnell Tate.
I agree, but I also do care about Wan'Dale Robinson in the respect that we've got a second-year quarterback, who we come over with Brian Daboll and is just the ultimate PPR merchant. He had a very good year last year.
This is just such an obnoxious. How do you predict this game log, though?
I think he is.
26 and then a bunch of under 10s.
But you look at the targets, man. 11, 9, 14, 8. You look at the targets. I think that's going to be kind of similar here in this situation where I think he's going to be the. If Ward's running for his life behind this offensive line, I think Wan'Dale's going to be the security blanket.
These targets to me scream Malik Neighbors tore his ACL and Darius Slayton was our number 1.
Could be, but again, besides Carnell Tate,
Slayton.
Calvin Ridley, I'm shocked that he's still ranked. I don't give a fuck about Calvin
Ridley's
Ridley.
Not alive.
And Shamiri DK's ranked 201st overall.
Special teamer.
He is the best special teamer in the game. He will make several first team all pros in his career.
No doubt.
But you are if you're in a league where you get 100 points for a kick return like some of them do, you're not worrying about Shamiri DK. And I know Gunnar Helm is also kind of a fun choice here, but
I like me some Helm as a late round tight end.
I do too, but you look at that and it's like Wan'Dale, I think, is the clear-cut number 2 guy and has a very different role in the offense than Carnell Tate. And I think based on volume alone, Wan'Dale is extremely viable at wide receiver 46. Like, look, I just think that he's ranked so much further down than Tate, which necessarily isn't wrong. What I'm saying is I just like that value there.
I just think I don't want any part of this game log. From what he did last year, and to me, this was his ceiling, and I could be wrong. Maybe he'll be better with the Titans than he was with the Giants, but these games of 24, 17, 12, 26 are surrounded by landmines of 3, 2, 5, and a lot of them, even these ones in the middle here, the 6, the 9, the 5, those were with 9+ targets. Like, he's just if you're in full PPR, let's make that distinction. If you're in full PPR, yes.
Well, yeah,
he's a cheater. He's a cheater because he will turn a bad stat line into good fantasy
unethical
points.
Football.
Half PPR, I'm good. Give me Carnell Tate and Gunnar Helm. We're talking about, potential. I guess probably not top 2 target because Wan'Dale, if nothing else, is going to get targets. But Gunnar Helm, I'm a little bit interested in just maybe the touchdown equity there of a team that could find itself scoring a little bit more.
We've seen guys who, in the Brian Dable offense there, like Theo Johnson had some nice weeks last year. Daniel Bellinger had some nice weeks a few years ago. Fucking Evan Engram, for God's sake. Like, Dable is not afraid to use the tight end. And, Gunnar Helm is the guy. They let Chig walk and say, this is our starting tight end.
Yeah.
So I don't hate it. I think
there's probably other tight end darts I'll throw instead of him. But
like AJ Barner's right ahead of him. I much prefer AJ Barner.
I agree, but it's like then you got TJ Hawkinson. Give me Helm just to see what he's got.
TJ Hawkinson just bores the fuck out of me.
Exactly.
So that's it could be
old unk.
So
he's only 29, brother.
God,
how is he only 29. Turn 30. Get a job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that about the running backs. Would they have running backs too? Tony Pollard.
This is interesting. This is interesting just because neither of these guys are Dable guys. They did not bring in anybody they drafted Nicholas Singleton in the 6th round. He's ranked in the top 200. I don't care. I don't think he's going to be that. I like Pollard. I prefer Pollard, where it's just like, I think Spears was kind of really a Mike Vrabel. I don't even remember who the fucking offensive coordinator was after Arthur Smith. I think he was kind of just like
Spears Mike Vrabel.
I think so. Vrabel was just there 3 years ago, wasn't he?
I guess he must have been.
Am I wrong?
No, I think, let's see, Tyjae Spears drafted
2023.
2023 Titans. Was that the year? Hold on. We need to find out. You think you might be right.
I could be completely wrong and obese.
2023 Titans. Mike Vrabel. Yep,
yeah, so it was Tim Kelly's guys thinking of. Like, that could have been just their kind of guy. And we saw in game situations where Henry is not much of a pass catcher, or that's what he's known for. Pollard can catch the ball. Pollard caught the ball very well in Dallas. I just think Spears is kind of just like an experiment that necessarily didn't work. We even saw it with Brian Callahan, where it was like he brought in Tony Pollard and that was his guy. Again, it could be completely wrong because we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah,
because
I just think Tyjae Spears, I don't think this is going to be the magic coaching staff that finally unlocks Tyjae Spears. I'm done expecting Tyjae Spears to take over the backfield.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard, I'm with you. I like him. I think if this offense takes any sort of step forward, and even if it doesn't, if Tony Pollard just stays healthy, he's a guy that where you're drafting him, 76th overall, again, flex spot, if not a bench spot.
I just think flex seal, but I just think he's I think he's just a decent football player. He's just a reliable running back.
More bankable role than a guy like Chuba Hubbard, who's got Jonathan Brooks breathing down his neck. Rico Dowdle, who, while I would pick him over Warren in that backfield, has Warren.
Isn't
who
Warren
could be the
ranked
starter.
higher than that?
He probably is. Yeah, I would prefer
Dowdle.
Warren.
Yeah,
but yeah, Warren's up there. Jadarian Price, we don't know what his role is. Pollard, Pollard's their starting running back, and he's going to be in an offense that, even if it's the same as it was last year, that could just volume its way. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to be the same. I think it's going to take at least a half step forward.
If you're 0 RB, I think Tony Pollard is a fine guy to kind of fall back on. If you miss out on the big guys and you just want someone with a role, Tony Pollard's a solid guy for that. But again, a very bizarre division. A very, very bizarre division fantasy-wise, because there is a lot of talent there. I think it's going to be an extremely competitive division real life.
Yeah.
Where we saw the Jags just barely scrape by the Texans last year. I almost said Titans again. We think the Titans should get better. The Colts, it'll depend on health. So yeah, it's just going to be one to watch from the perspective. It's just the variance is very high.
Absolutely.
With this, we could see a ton of really good players, and we can see a lot of. We've already lost our hair thinking about it.
It's true. All right. That'll do it for this episode of Bald Coverage. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week continuing our division previews and our wonderful jingle. But for now, thank you guys for tuning in. For Pat Gustafson, I'm Brandon Carney. And hold on.
Division
We will
preview.
see you next time. Alrighty. Now, for those of you still here, we'll answer some viewer questions because we've gotten several. Let's go and find all of them.
As always, thank you for the donations.
Thank
they
you
are
very
not
much.
mandatory, but we will guarantee.
No, they're mandatory. Give me your money.
We
or
will
get banned.
guaranteed answer your question.
Money or ban.
At the end
It's
of the
always
show.
been the rule. Let's see. Squeak Talk Sports with $2 said the question mark. That might be an emoji. I'm guessing it's about my head. Looks good. Excited
Yes,
to
it
see
was.
Brand Pie results. Thank you, Squeak.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
Squeak.
you.
Yeah, I think
very
he
much.
looks good too.
Xander with 199 said favorite buy and sell in this division. # Dynasty Nerd. Ooh. All right.
I wish I was better tapped in with Dynasty.
Favorite buy and sell. Okay. Buy. I'll say this because I tried to do this in several leagues. Buy, if you're competing this year, David Montgomery, because I think he can be had cheap because he's old and not as many people are going to be, like, not a lot of people are super high on him. I think he's a guy that could help you put you over the top this year and help you win a league. So I would say buy for him, not because I think he's like a long-term play, but just because he's an undervalued piece that you can get kind of for cheap.
Yeah, and I guess if we're talking young, I'd probably say Gunnar Helm. It's just a fun little
Sure.
stab. I think random ass tight ends are a fun stab. That's how I started my Dynasty League, with just a stab at Trey McBride in his rookie year when he didn't do a whole lot. And look what on. I'm not saying Gunnar Helm's going to do that, but you never know. And it's just, out of all the young guys, I feel like they're all more obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if we're going to get real sneaky, I'd go Helm. In a
Sell for me.
Travis Hunter.
Sell for me, I'll go. So I think too many people are off the Hunter bandwagon. I think enough people are still on the Brian Thomas bandwagon that I would sell him while people still think the bounce back's going to happen, because I don't really think it's going to. Like, I do think he'll have a better year this year than he did last year, but I think you can take advantage of the people that still think he's got rookie year Brian Thomas in the tank, and try to get some little extra value out of him before people realize that he is who we thought he was. Kind of stinky.
So our boy Brady called you Shane Van Bransbergen, which you wouldn't understand because there is a NASCAR driver. Let me find it for Shane Van Gisbergen, who is very good and is from New Zealand.
Okay.
And is bald as fuck.
Okay. I mean,
there he is.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. He's bald and has a beard.
Also, Brady, are you like a NASCAR driver? Like, did you run in the truck series? Because there was a driver named Brady Boswell. Is that you?
That is an odd coincidence, and he's our age.
And he likes NASCAR. Is that you, Brady? Is that you?
Well, while we wait for that answer, we'll continue here. Jake with $5 said, "Hey, Brand." I know he corrected himself later. Said, "Hey, Brand. In all seriousness, you pull off the bald look. I'm calling it now. Ruben Bain will be the defensive rookie of the year. T-Rex arms my ass."
I'll be honest. I think I really agree, because you look at Bain as going to go in and have a prominent role on what should be a good defense, a steal of a pick as well.
Yeah,
I really don't dislike that. I'm on board.
Yeah. I'm cool with that. Atticus with $5 said, "Why is the reigning MVP Matthew Stafford sitting at 92% rostered and 41% starting on ESPN Fantasy? Am I missing something?" Well,
it's so hard.
It is, because Matthew Stafford's really never been that guy in fantasy. Matthew Stafford has found himself on waiver wires for years. At least he hasn't been that guy since rushing took over for quarterbacks. I think where we struggle a little bit with Matthew Stafford is just looking at the numbers and where they got him to. So, quarterback, 2025 season, I believe he finished as QB3. Was it 4? So Matthew Stafford finished as the QB3 last year. That was with, let me pull it up. QB3 last year with a career high 46 touchdowns and borderline career low 8 interceptions and 4,700 yards. I think the idea is, if he goes back to even 10 fewer touchdowns, which would still be the best he's done with the Rams since 2021, say he goes down to like 36, I think it's just the assumption of a little bit of not necessarily, I guess, regression. Not that he's getting worse, but just that the numbers are going down because maybe they'll run the ball a bit more. Maybe they'll be a little bit less efficient. Last year was just the highest end possible outcome for him. And he still only finished as QB3. That was good. Don't get me wrong. That was definitely good. I just think it's more of like last year was lightning in a bottle. And people think even though the Rams are going to be great this year, and of course they're going to be, it won't necessarily translate to as much fantasy success. Maybe Kyron Williams actually gets used on the goal line. They don't just pepper Devontae Adams every time. Maybe Blake Corum gets more involved. Like there's a chance that Stafford could repeat this, but 46 touchdowns and 8 picks is hard for anybody to repeat.
Also, zero rushing upside.
Zero.
Like he is, you might as well have the Statue of Liberty back there.
Yeah, it's just these numbers. Like I know we want to just say, well, why can't he just do it again? He could. It's just kind of unlikely. It's just kind of unlikely. So I get your concerns though and your question. Ty with 199 said, who are your favorite wide receiver twos in fantasy for value?
Great question.
Like wide receiver twos on their own team or like
yes, I think that's
okay. Yeah,
that's the way I'm reading it.
Yeah, what do we? I mean, obviously Pickens.
George Pickens.
Pickens. Kind
well,
of
let's
Pickens
go.
and T Higgins don't count.
And I don't think Devontae kind of counts too. I guess
Devontae, I think we can count. J-Mo. I mean, I go a little more off the beaten path there.
This is, I guess, I don't know.
Josh Downs.
Josh Downs is
Josh
that's a really good value.
Theme with
Mekhi Lemon. Jordan Tyson.
Yeah, I think Jordan Tyson's an interesting one because he could truly just be disgusting.
We'll talk about him next week.
That Saints
in our
offense.
NFC South preview.
Very true. I like Jordan Tyson. Statistical Fizz with you spent $9.99 to say you look like my dad when bald. Statistical Fizz. I want you to look at me in my bald eyes while I say this. I am your dad.
Go to your room.
And I fucked your mom. All right.
Me too. Oh,
hey, yo, at the same time.
What was it? It was years ago on the podcast where someone said like, Bran, can you help me find my dad? And I said, are you looking for one?
Oh yeah.
that was one of the OG.
That was outrageous.
That was one of the OG insane Pat moments.
Bowden with $5 said, do you think the Titans coaching staff improves significantly if they make the addition of up and coming bald man Brandon Carney?
Absolutely.
I will be running the entire offense through Lance McCutcheon.
Or you could run their social media as well.
Their social media is pretty good already. They don't really need my help. Their schedule release
most
videos
football.
are pretty funny.
My voice just went like most football teams. Most. Hey there! Don't touch me there, Goose.
Hey there, Tennessee. You need help with your social media?
I feel like most teams are pretty fun on social media as it is.
T-Sharp with $5 said, not football, but did either of you guys see Ryan O'Hearn's stat line? I did.
What? 3 homers, 10 ribbies?
Yeah, that
and also
was stupid.
Tyler Tolbert on the Royals tied the MLB record for most
consecutive hits. I saw that too.
12 straight at bats. He is the third player in MLB history to have 2 straight 5-hit games. One of the other guys is High Meyer. Either H-I or H-Y. His name is Henry, but he went by High. High, like not even like High, like Hello Meyer.
Yeah. Is
basically the guy's name. I forgot the second guy. I just quote tweeted it and said High Meyer because I'm like, who the fuck is that?
Brady said, no, I'm unfortunately a small child.
Roberto Clemente.
Oh,
High Myers and Tyler Tolbert.
Terrific.
A utility player for the fucking Royals.
All right, we'll do a couple questions here from the general chat now that our donos are out of the
Chase
way.
Daniel signed a multi-year extension with ESPN. I like Chase. I think Chase Daniel is a good.
Aiden said, when does the live start? I'm tired of this ad of Mr. Clean. How about I clean out the inside of your ass, pal?
Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
What the fuck was that?
Sorry. That was excessive.
Yeah, I guess just to riff here, MLB All-Stars were selected. Not, there are just so many good players in the league. It's hard. Everyone cries about snubs, but there's only 33 spots on each team.
I'm glad Ben Rice is in the home run derby.
And there are just endless good players. CB Bucknor and Laz Diaz are retiring. Did you see that? I
did not see that.
Yeah, 7 umpires have accepted a buyout at the end of the year. CB is out with a concussion. We may never see him again. If he doesn't come back this year, he's done. So I will always be a Laz defender. His strike zone is the size of his gut. Huge. But I will defend Laz Diaz to the grave that he is not that bad of an umpire.
Brand looks like every backup quarterback ever. All right. Bran looks like my middle school PE teacher, which is a good omen for his future.
Oh,
coaching
God. Someone
career
said, don't
with
talk
Titans.
about Roberto Clemente and anything that sounds like high flyers. Jesus Christ, that was good.
Man.
That's really good. That's so bad. That's so good.
JSN, there's no way you showed back up at the end of the show to ask me to shout, what do you want me to do? He had the best season of any receiver in football last year. Why do you want me to shout him out like he's some underground fucking rap star trying to make it?
Shout it out
JSN
loud.
is good at football. Is that what you want to hear?
All right, everyone.
God.
Breaking news. Hit the breaking news button.
Fuck.
Breaking news!
Fuck, marry, kill. Nico Collins, Bashal Tootin, or Nancy Pelosi. You guys clearly know my answer that I am banging Nancy Pelosi.
I'm killing Nancy
Wait,
Pelosi.
I might marry her because she's going to die soon and has a lot of money, and I still get the F with that.
Does she have more money than Nico Collins? Probably not.
With her insider trading, yeah,
Oh,
she
she
is.
might.
So I'll fuck Bashal Tootin, marry Nancy Pelosi, and sorry, Nico, by process of elimination, you are gone.
I will marry Nico Collins because I love him. I'll fuck Tootin because
You better not be tooting while you're.
No, I want him to be Tootin.
We have had a lot of fucking
kill
references
Nancy
today. That's
Pelosi.
insane. Well, fuck, marry, kill Mitch McConnell. You don't even have to do anything.
I am not Brian Hoyer. That's enough.
Is that a Brian Hoyer jersey?
No, they just think I look like. Do I? I think that one actually.
So that's the
might be
thing is
accurate.
like. Obviously, I look like other bald guys, but I'm a fat bald guy, so I can't be Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, I
you're,
get athletic.
you're
bald
a
guys.
thin bald guy, so you're more.
Man, the Hoyer one's tough.
See, I just look like Brian Dable basically, and when I had more hair and more beard, I looked like Matt Patricia.
Man, the Hoyer one. Hoyer never had quite as long of a beard as I do. But with that said,
Brian Hoyer.
wait, did our camera die? Oh, the camera just died. Well, all right, I'm not going to show
It's
it.
the Nobody Show.
Google Brian Hoyer.
Are we still going? Can you guys hear us?
No, we're still going. Our mics are going. But since that died, we're
Pat looks like Shel Silverstein. I didn't know. I assumed Shel Silverstein was a woman for the longest time. Turns out he is not. Remember like where the sidewalk ends? Yeah, I'm not sure Pat can move, so it might be hard to play quarterback. I was supposed to umpire a baseball game on the bases today, and I'm just like, how am I going to run around? It got moved, so I don't have to do it, but I'm thinking like, how do I even run around?
That'll do it for us, folks. We're frozen.
The No One
97
Show.